Hello everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video today to talk about my throat and shoulder area healing. See, I had the Saniderm wrap on still last time. That was like, I want to say, probably 2.5 days ago, something like that. I was able to keep that wrap on all the way up till last night. I probably could have kept it on longer, but it was just getting a little uncomfortable and I didn't really figure I needed it on. If I can get 2 or 3 days out of a Saniderm wrap, that's about as much as I ever really need. Generally, the reason why I like to keep it on is it minimizes all of the healing complications, things like that. Like, normally you have to wash it a couple times a day and put aftercare on a couple times a day and make sure you keep it out of things and make sure, you're really careful with what you wear over it, doesn't rub all over it, and like say you're busy, you're out somewhere and you can't get home anytime soon to take care of it while you're all wrapped up. And what Saniderm does is it basically keeps the tattoo from being exposed to anything like the elements, or you say you're cooking and you spilled some sauce on your arm or something, and you got Saniderm on it, well, that's a layer to protect it. I'm not saying you want to be spilling sauce on it anyway, but, it just keeps bacteria and stuff out of it, and it creates a seal that keeps the tattoo in its own juices and stuff like that. It all gets reabsorbed and it heals really quickly. So, for example, I'm already starting to peel, like the first stage of peeling, and it's only been just over 2 days since I've had my tattoo. And that's because if you can keep your tattoo in the Saniderm, it will actually heal quicker too. So sometimes what happens when you get a really heavy tattoo, like say a lot of black work or a full colored piece, there's a lot of saturation, and so you end up bleeding quite a bit, or you end up quite swollen, or there's just a lot of ink that say, they say you can only have so much ink in your skin. The holes will start kind of pushing it back out, and that's what would create scabbing if you didn't have a Saniderm wrap on. Well, that stuff all still happens, but because it's a moist environment, scabbing can't develop. So you'll end up getting a whole bunch of plasma in there and stuff like that. And sometimes it just gets too moist and it can kind of ooze off. And in that case, you just take it off and, proceed to treating it like a normal tattoo, like washing it a couple times a day and your aftercare. But I always kind of sigh a little when that happens, like the first or second day, because it's like, oh, I wish I could have kept that on a little longer. But in terms of how this actual tattoo is doing, it's healing great. I don't think there's going to be any scabbing. Most of the swelling is gone, and most of the surface level pain is done now, which is always awesome on, the third day? Because I got it Wednesday, this is Friday now, so yeah, third day. The surface level pain is gone, and what you get when you get this area is you get a bit of muscle feeling, muscle pain is what I want to say. It's kind of like getting a bruise, and that's been any time I've got my shoulder. Like, this area here doesn't hurt much to get tattooed, but it does like to kind of bruise, and it feels a little sore after for a few days, like you've worked your arm really hard kind of thing. Like, I usually do a bit of a workout every day, but when I get my tattoos on the Wednesdays, I take a couple days off to heal, because you don't want to be putting extra pressure on something that's already sore and swollen. I mean, that should be common knowledge, but I've heard people get tattooed and they're in the gym the next day. And it's like, well, you're bound to heal poor after that. But anyway, yeah, as I expected, this is going to be a super easy heal, I think. I don't expect any scabbing. So far, it doesn't look like I can see any of the red underneath the black. Sometimes when you're covering things with black, you can see a bit of the old color there. And that's generally when you're blacking something out. You want to expect that you're going to need probably 2 passes before you get it fully saturated. Now, sometimes you don't. Like, for example, my hand here. This used to be completely red. It was red and there was a little black star in here. This whole arm was. And you can see that there's some spots in there that will need to be touched up. I've only hit this with black once. This arm, the whole thing was done probably 2 times. Parts were done 3 times. And it's fairly solid now. But there are still some places that will need to be touched up eventually. Like, I'm probably going to end up taking this out. And I like the skull for now, but I don't know if he'll stay forever either. You know, choices to make. The hands generally, if anywhere is going to lose the ink, it's going to be the hands or the feet or something. So, like, it was no surprise to me when I lost some black ink in my knuckles. But I'm not really dreading patching that up. It's just, you know, getting there in time. In terms of this tattoo, again, since I'm kind of rambling off, I'm really digging the black. I mean, maybe some people aren't feeling it. I don't know. Maybe let me know in the comments whether you like the red roses over here or the solid black. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to take out these roses in here. And if I do that, then I'm probably going to kill off these stars too, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense to keep them with that thin red outline there. If I decided to kill those roses off, that would probably mean the stars go too. But I mean, I've got my work cut out for me before I think about that anyway. Like, I've got this whole part to even up with this side. That's going to be one appointment most likely with the way we're going. And then I've got this back area to fix up here. And then we'll have to mirror that over here in another sitting. And then I've still got some stuff to fix up here. Like, I'm going to need to hit this elbow again. And elbows, like hands, you know, you might lose some black ink there too, because when you tighten your elbow up, there's a lot of skin there that's hard to saturate. Your elbow likes to bend and stuff, so it takes a bit of beating back and forth to get the elbow really solid. I mean, most people, when they're getting their elbow done, they don't get full saturation. They get like a line work or like a nice shape that goes with the flow of the elbow that won't be too hard to keep. But of course, when you're doing a full black sleeve, that's what you do. You fully saturate it. So yeah, in terms of my piercings, nothing really changing there. I've got a few cool pieces coming. I finally got a guy named Andy from South Shore Adornments. He makes Dragon Hearts septum stuff, so I figured if I'm going to be at 20mm septum right here, that it's time for me to get some proper fitting jewelry for that. Like, I've just been wearing whatever I can get. I started out with silicone just when I stretched it originally, but the silicone was kind of irritating, so I had to get a piece of glass tunnel, like a glass tunnel from a site called Body Art Forms with no flares. So I stuck that in there, and that's doing well for now, but it's not comfortable long term, so I will need something else in there eventually. But I'm getting a bit of glare here. I don't know why that is. Alright, that's better. But for now, it's better than the silicone was. And, you know, I can deal with irritation. Like, I could probably live with mild irritation my whole life. I mean, if you're going to be getting piercings and tattoos all the time, you're probably pretty used to living with some amount of irritation, right? So it's not like, you know, I can't deal with some irritation, but it's, if I have a choice in the matter, it's better not to. So I had a custom septum piercing made for me. It's going to be about a 9mm wearable, and it's going to be made out of Delrin. I don't know when that's getting here. It's all overseas. I think he operates out of London. No, I could be wrong. I'm not exactly sure where he is, but definitely in Europe somewhere. Anytime you're shipping internationally, you should expect to wait. And then another piece I've got custom made coming for me is I've got a red stone inlay Libre. It's going to be a bit of a different shape. So this one's quite wide, and not very tall. This one's going to be a normal oval, so it'll be a little bit more rounded. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's got a red gem in the middle. I can't pronounce the gemstone. It's something with a C, but it's I'm pretty excited about that. That'll be my first real kind of victory jewelry. You know, like when you get to your goal size for a piercing like this, I think that you should kind of reward your effort and get yourself something really fancy and custom. I don't expect that I'll be going up after that. I've even thought about getting more custom jewelry made, similar, like with Blackstone inlay. But that'll be after I get the redstone one. I'll enjoy that for a while, and then I'll get bored of that, and I'll want to change it up. So that'll be fun. And then I've got some really cool teardrop tunnels that'll fit these earlobes better now, because the way they're sitting now, they're a bit too bunched in with the other tunnels that are there. So yeah, that'll be cool. But yeah, back to the neck and chest, shoulder area. I do plan on going in Tuesday morning and matching up this side. And I expect that this will be all peeled by probably Sunday, since the peeling's already started. Usually anywhere from day to 2 days peeling, and then you're good. So this will be mostly peeled when I start doing this part over here. And then finally, when I get all that back done, I'll head back onto the arm. And my wife is pretty sure that I'm just going to keep blacking things out, but one thing I know for sure is that my chest and the main components of my stomach and stuff, they're not going anywhere. So yeah, I have had some people on my Instagram that have been actually a little upset with me. I had one guy tell me that he followed me because of how striking my throat was, which was a strange thing to hear. Like, that kind of stuff, people might assume, oh, he hears that kind of stuff all the time. Not really. Like, my following has gotten pretty big on Instagram, so I guess there's that. But honestly, I always find it a little bit weird when people tell me stuff like that. Like when I was growing my hair back out, for example, after being bald last, one girl said, "Oh, but I like you so much more bald." And I said, "Well, you know, you can always shave it off." And she actually unfollowed me in the end because I was growing my hair out. I mean, it's weird, but it's true. Anyway, as I'm babbling, I figured this video has been long enough. I just wanted to do an update and maybe ramble a bit about mods and stuff. I kind of enjoying just getting on here and chatting a bit. I never know exactly where it's going to go. This isn't scripted by any means. I have kind of a loose idea of what I want to say, and yeah, I'm not really looking to make like money on this or like anything like that, right? Like, so if it ends up being a little bit rambly, who the hell cares, right? It's only going to be people who really want to hear me talk that are here anyway, so. And if you don't want to hear me talking to you here, well, I'm very sorry. Anyway, everyone, have a good night, and if you watched this whole thing, thank you, and if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to share them and subscribe. All right, have a good night.